Obama's message in the Cairo speech was extremely well received in the Middle East. It was still early on in the Obama presidency. It was a period in which Arab countries had great expectations of Obama, and in his speech in Cairo, he hit on all the right notes. The importance of change and democracy, but not pushing, not the crusading attitude that the Bush administration had, calling for partnership, calling for cooperation. So the speech was very well received at that time. There was, in fact, the hope for a new beginning. Unfortunately, the hopeful start has not led to real progress, and there is, in fact, beginning to be quite a bit of skepticism in the Arab world, because Obama said the right things and then nothing happened on the ground. There was no follow-up in terms of new initiatives. I think there is a recognition in the Arab world that Obama was very much wrapped up in the healthcare debate. I think there is an understanding of why there was not more focus on the Middle East. But still, there was a lot of disenchantment, partly also brought about by the fact that a lot of people in the Middle East team are people who are related to the old administration, to the Bush administration. There are a lot of old faces. So that essentially there was a contradiction there between the announcement of a new policy, the appointment of Senator Mitchell, but then on the other hand, the carryover of other people in the administration. The Obama administration policy may be moving in the right direction because President Obama is becoming much more personally engaged in the policy. The policy drifted for a while. President Obama seems to be engaging now personally and directly, but we have not seen the results. We have not seen a clear policy emerging. President Obama himself is still perceived very favorably. Although Arabs are somewhat disappointed that he has not done more faster, there is still a very positive perception of him. The United States is not perceived as positively. Under the Obama presidency, the approval rating for the United States in the Arab world has inched upward, but it's still very low. The United States has extremely strong relations with some countries in the Middle East. Israel, of course, but even in terms of Arab countries, it has strong relations with Egypt. It has strong relations with Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, it has changing relations with some of the other countries in the region, so that by and large, it is not in a particularly strong position in the Middle East right now. Washington maintains influence in some countries. Again, I would use Egypt as an example, but it's also as long as the interest of the two countries converge. The United States cannot force Arab countries to do what they don't want to do. And at this point, much of the key to the US maintaining an influence is by showing to Arab countries that it's willing to meet them at least halfway on the peace process. I don't think you can talk about convergence between the United States and the Middle East because the Middle East itself is not converging with itself. There is convergence between the United States and Egypt to some extent. There is some convergence between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Because these are both countries that are very leery of Iran, for example, and willing to side with the United States in a policy towards Iran. There is no convergence, for example, with Syria. There is no convergence even with a country like Qatar that is trying to establish good relations with all camps. We want to maintain good relations with the United States and with Iran. So you really have to look at country by country whether there is a convergence in the position. The Israel-Palestinian conflict, it's crucial to the relation of the United States and Arab countries. For Arab countries, the policy that the United States pursue or has pursued in the past, which to them is blindly supporting Israel, is totally unacceptable. That's the way in which Arab countries perceive U.S. policy in the area. So as long as there is that perception in the Arab world, relations between Arab countries and the United States are going to be difficult. The United States should be very clear about the violations of democracy that take place in some Arab countries. In other words, the United States should not sweep under the rug the undemocratic practices that it witnesses in the Arab world. Whether or not it can actually promote a democracy, in other words, force those countries to take positive steps towards democracy, depends on whether or not there is an active opposition in that country that can be helped by U.S. pressure. If there is no strong opposition, there is no point in trying to promote a democracy.